Hanwoo crawled through the narrow ventilation shaft with his tool bag dragging behind him. The metal walls of the Harmony Bridge station hummed with the constant sound of air recyclers and power generators. He had been working as a maintenance technician on this interstellar research station for 2 years now. The station was home to many different alien species who worked together on scientific projects. The cramped space made his back ache, but Hanwoo never complained about his job. He liked fixing things and keeping the station running smoothly. Today, he was checking the air filtration system in Sector 7 because some of the alien researchers had reported strange smells. As Hanwoo turned a corner in the ventilation shaft, his flashlight beam caught something moving. He stopped and held his breath. 2 small, glowing eyes stared back at him from the darkness. The creature was small and covered in patchy fur that looked dirty and matted. "Hey there, little one," Hanwoo whispered softly. "What are you doing in here?" The creature backed away further into the shadows. Hanwoo could see it was about the size of a small dog, but its proportions seemed odd. Its ears were too big for its head, and its legs looked shorter than they should be. The fur was a mix of brown and gray with strange white patches that made it look uneven and messy. Hanwoo slowly reached into his tool bag and pulled out a protein bar. He broke off a small piece and held it out toward the creature. The small animal sniffed the air and took a cautious step forward. Its movements were clumsy and it stumbled slightly as it walked. "You must be hungry," Hanwoo said gently. "Come on, I will not hurt you." The creature crept closer and carefully took the food from his hand. Hanwoo noticed its teeth were small and sharp, but it ate very gently. As it chewed the protein bar, the creature looked up at Hanwoo with intelligent eyes that seemed to understand he was trying to help. "You cannot stay in here," Hanwoo told the creature. "The air filters will hurt you. Let me take you somewhere safe." He carefully scooped up the small animal and was surprised by how light it felt. The creature did not struggle or try to bite him. Instead, it seemed to relax in his arms and made a soft purring sound. Hanwoo made his way back through the ventilation system toward the main corridor. When he emerged from the maintenance hatch, several alien crew members stopped to stare. Kale, the reptilian security chief, was the first to notice him. "What is that disgusting thing?" Kale hissed through his forked tongue. His scaled face showed clear disgust as he looked at the creature in Hanwoo's arms. "I found it in the vents," Hanwoo explained. It was lost and hungry. Thais, the insectoid research director, approached with her multiple eyes focused on the creature. Her antenna twitched as she examined it closely. "This organism appears to be malformed," she clicked in her mechanical voice. "Its proportions are completely wrong. It must be diseased or genetically damaged." More alien crew members gathered around to look at the creature. The crystalline zephyrites made harsh ringing sounds that Hanwoo knew meant disapproval. The aquatic naudilans bubbled negative comments through their breathing apparatus. "Look at those ridiculous ears," one of the zephyrites chimed. "And that patchy fur makes it look like it has some kind of skin condition. Its legs are too short for its body," added a nautilar. "This creature is clearly an evolutionary mistake." The creature pressed closer to Hanwoo's chest, as if it could understand the harsh words being spoken about it. Hanwoo felt protective of the small animal and held it more tightly. "Maybe it just looks different because it is young," Hanwoo suggested. "Baby animals often look strange compared to adults," Kale laughed, which sounded like rocks grinding together. "Young or old, that thing is hideous. You should throw it out the airlock before it spreads whatever disease made it look so awful." "It is not diseased," Hanwoo said firmly. "It is just a scared little animal that needs help." So-Min, the human xenobiologist, pushed through the crowd of aliens. She was Hanwoo's friend and one of only 3 humans on the station. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail and she wore the standard blue research uniform. "What did you find?" So-Min asked as she looked at the creature in Hanwoo's arms. "The maintenance worker discovered this malformed organism in the ventilation system," Thais explained before Han Wu could answer. It appears to be some kind of canine species but with severe developmental problems. So Min studied the creature carefully. Han Wu could see she was trying to be scientific about it, but he also noticed a slight frown on her face when she looked. At its unusual appearance, its bone structure does seem abnormal, So Min said slowly, and the fur pattern is very irregular. Han Wu felt disappointed that even So Min seemed to focus on the creature's strange looks, instead of seeing that it was just a frightened animal that needed care. I think it is charming, Han Wu said loudly, enough for everyone to hear. Look at how intelligent its eyes are, and it was very gentle when it took food from my hand. The aliens around him made various sounds of disbelief and mockery. Kale stepped closer with an intimidating posture. That thing is not charming, Kale growled. It is a biological hazard. Give it to me and I will dispose of it properly. Han Wu stepped back and shook his head. No, I am going to take care of it. You cannot be serious. Thais clicked her mandibles together in what Han Wu knew was her version of laughter. That creature is clearly defective. No rational being would want to care for such an ugly, malformed animal. The crowd of aliens continued to make negative comments about the creature's appearance. Some called it a freak of nature, while others suggested it should be studied to understand. What had gone wrong with its development? None of them seemed to see what Han Wu saw when he looked at the small animal. Han Wu looked down at the creature in his arms. Its big eyes looked back at him trustingly, and it made another soft purring sound. Despite what all the aliens said about its appearance, Han Wu thought there was something special about this little animal. I am naming you Nuri, he whispered to the creature, and I promise I will take good care of you. The creature seemed to understand and settled more comfortably in his arms. Han Wu ignored the continued comments from the alien crew and walked toward his quarters with his new companion. Han Wu carried Nuri into his small quarters and gently placed the creature on his bed. The room was simple, with just a sleeping area, a small desk, and a storage unit for his belongings. Nuri looked around curiously with those large, intelligent eyes before settling into the soft blankets. This is your new home, Han Wu said softly as he sat down beside the creature. You will be safe here. Nuri made that same purring sound and moved closer to Han Wu. The creature seemed to understand that Han Wu was trying to help. Over the next few hours, Han Wu watched as Nuri explored the small room with careful movements. The creature was definitely unusual looking. Its oversized ears twitched at every small sound, and its short legs made it waddle rather than walk smoothly. The patchy fur really did look strange, with brown and gray mixed with irregular white spots. But Han Wu found these differences interesting, rather than ugly. When mealtime came, Han Wu shared his food with Nuri. The creature ate slowly and neatly, never making a mess. Han Wu noticed that Nuri would always look at him before taking each bite as if asking permission. This showed a level of intelligence and politeness that impressed him. You are very smart, Han Wu told Nuri. I wonder where you came from, as. If understanding the question, Nuri tilted its head and made a soft whining sound. Han Wu reached out to pet the creature and was surprised by how soft its fur felt, despite looking rough and patchy. The next morning, Han Wu had to return to work. He left Nuri in his quarters with food and water, but worried about leaving the creature alone. When he returned for lunch, he found Nuri waiting by the door as if it had been listening for his footsteps. Did you miss me? Han Wu asked with a smile. Nuri bounced excitedly and ran in small circles around Han Wu's feet. The clumsy movements that the aliens had mocked actually looked playful and endearing to Han Wu. That afternoon, while Han Wu was working on some electrical repairs, Nuri followed him around the corridors. The creature stayed close but never got in the way. Han Wu noticed that other crew members would stare and make disgusted faces when they saw Nuri. Keep that thing away from the food preparation areas, demanded Chef Gorix, a bulky alien with 4 arms. It looks diseased and will contaminate everything. Nuri is perfectly healthy, Hanwoo replied. And very clean, too. Gorix made a sound of disbelief and walked away, shaking his large head. Similar reactions happened throughout the day. Aliens would see Nuri and immediately show disgust or fear. Some would make rude comments about the creature's appearance, while others would simply avoid that area entirely. But Hanwoo began to notice something amazing about Nuri. While he worked on electrical systems, the creature would sit quietly and watch. Sometimes Nuri would make soft sounds and look toward a specific area. When Hanwoo checked those spots, he often found loose connections or damaged wiring that he had missed. "How did you know that wire was bad?" Hanwoo asked after Nuri had guided him to a faulty circuit panel. Nuri just looked at him with those intelligent eyes and wagged its small tail. Hanwoo realized the creature might have some special ability to sense electrical problems. The next day, Somin visited Hanwoo's quarters to check on Nuri. She brought a portable scanner to examine the creature more closely. "Its vital signs are normal," Somin reported as she ran the scanner over Nuri. "Body temperature, heart rate, and brain activity all seem healthy." "See, I told everyone Nuri was fine," Hanwoo said proudly. Somin frowned slightly as she looked at the scanner readings. "The brain activity is actually quite high. Higher than most animals this size. This creature is very intelligent, Hanwoo." "I knew it." Hanwoo smiled. "Nuri helps me find electrical problems at work. It is like the creature can sense things I cannot." Somin looked surprised. "That is interesting. Maybe Nuri has some kind of electromagnetic sensitivity." Their conversation was interrupted by loud knocking on the door. Hanwoo opened it to find Kale standing in the corridor with 2 other security officers. The reptilian's eyes were cold and angry. "I have received multiple complaints about your pet," Kale hissed. "Crew members are uncomfortable having that malformed creature roaming the station. Nuri has not caused any problems," Hanwoo said defensively. "The creature is well-behaved and stays close to me." "Look at it." Kyle pointed at Nuri, who was hiding behind Hanwoo's legs. "That thing is clearly some kind of genetic mistake. Who knows what diseases it might carry or what aggressive behavior it might develop?" Somin stepped forward with her scanner. "I have examined the creature thoroughly. It shows no signs of disease and its behavior is completely non-aggressive." Kale ignored her and focused on Hanwoo. "I am ordering you to surrender this creature for proper disposal. It is a biological hazard and cannot remain on the station." "No," Hanwoo said firmly. "Nuri is not hurting anyone. The creature has as much right to be here as any of us." "The security." Chief's scales changed color to a darker shade, which Hanwoo knew meant Kale was getting very angry. "You are defying a direct order from station security. That creature will be removed one way or another." Over my dead body, Hanwoo stepped protectively in front of Nuri. Kyle smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "That can be arranged if necessary," Somin moved between them. "There is no need for threats. Let me do more research on this creature. Maybe I can find out what species it belongs to and where it came from." "Research will not change the fact that it is hideous and unwanted," Kyle snarled. "No civilized being should have to look at such an ugly, malformed animal." Hanwoo felt anger building inside him. "Just because Nuri looks different does not make the creature ugly or worthless. Beauty is not just about appearance." "Spoken like a primitive human." Kyle laughed harshly. "Your species always gets emotional about useless things. This creature serves no purpose and takes up valuable resources." "Nuri serves the purpose of being my friend," Hanwoo said. "And that is more valuable than anything else." Kale turned to leave but stopped at the door. "You have 3 days to get rid of that thing. After that, I will take action myself." After the security officers left, Somin put her hand on Hanwoo's shoulder. "Maybe you should consider finding Nuri a new home. Kyle is serious about his threats." Han Wu looked down at Nuri, who was pressing against his leg for comfort. The creature's big eyes looked worried, as if it had understood the danger in Kyle's words. "I will not abandon Nuri," Han Wu said firmly. "If the aliens cannot see past appearance to recognize intelligence and gentleness, then that is their problem, not ours." So Min sighed, but nodded. "Then we need to be very careful, and maybe we need to learn more about what Nuri really is." So Min worked late into the night in her laboratory while Han Wu slept. She had taken small samples of Nuri's fur and saliva when she examined the creature earlier. Something about the scanner readings bothered her. The brain activity patterns were unlike anything she had seen before. She ran the genetic samples through every database the station had access to. Hours passed with no matches. The DNA structure was complex and unlike any known species in the galactic registry. But there were strange markers in the genetic code that seemed familiar somehow. "Computer search for ancient species with similar genetic markers," So Min commanded. The computer worked for several minutes before displaying results. So Min's eyes widened as she read the information on her screen. The genetic markers matched. Fragments found in archaeological sites across the galaxy. Sites that were millions of years old. "This cannot be right," So Min whispered to herself. She ran the test again with different parameters. The results were the same. Nuri's DNA contained sequences that matched an ancient species called the Guardians. According to the database, the Guardians had disappeared from the galaxy long before most current civilizations had developed space travel. So Min pulled up everything the computer had about the Guardians. The information was limited but fascinating. Ancient texts described them as beings of great wisdom and incredible technology. They had supposedly helped younger species develop and advance, but had vanished without explanation. The most interesting detail was about their life cycle. Guardian adults were described as beautiful and magnificent creatures with powerful abilities. But their young were said to look very different. The ancient texts mentioned that Guardian children often appeared strange or even ugly to other species during their development phase. So Min felt her heart racing as she read more. According to legend, the Guardians would sometimes place their young with other species as a test. Those who showed kindness to the unusual-looking children would eventually be contacted by adult Guardians and given advanced knowledge and technology. "Han Wu needs to see this," So Min said to herself. She printed out all the information and hurried to Han Wu's quarters. When she arrived, she found him sitting on his bed with Nuri curled up beside him. The creature looked up when So Min entered and tilted its head curiously. "Han Wu, I need to show you something important," So Min said urgently. Han Wu rubbed his sleepy eyes and sat up straighter. "What is it, So Min?" She handed him the printed reports. "I analyzed Nuri's genetic structure. This creature is not what any of us thought." Han Wu read through the papers slowly. His expression changed from confusion to amazement as he understood what So Min had discovered. "You think Nuri is a Guardian?" Han Wu asked quietly. "The genetic evidence is very strong," So Min replied. "And look at this description of juvenile Guardians from the ancient texts." She pointed to a passage that described young Guardians as having oversized ears, short legs, and patchy fur that made them appear malformed to most other species. The description matched Nuri perfectly. Nuri seemed to sense they were talking about something important. The creature moved closer to Han Wu and made soft sounds while looking between him and So Min. "If this is true, then Nuri is not just some lost animal," Han Wu said slowly. "This could be a first contact situation." So Min nodded. "According to the legends, adult Guardians watch how their young are treated by other species. Those who show kindness and wisdom are eventually contacted and offered alliance with the Guardians. And those who are cruel to the young," Han Wu asked, "are avoided forever," So Min finished. "The Guardians never make contact with species that fail their test." Han Wu looked at Nuri with new understanding. The creature's intelligent eyes seemed to be studying him carefully, as if evaluating his character and intentions. We have to tell the others, So-min said. If the crew knew what Nuri really was, they would treat the creature differently. The next morning, So-min called a meeting in the main conference room. She presented her findings to the senior staff, including Kyle and Thais. The alien crew members listened with skeptical expressions as she explained about the genetic testing and ancient records. This is ridiculous, Kyle interrupted. You expect us to believe that hideous creature is from some legendary ancient species? The genetic evidence is conclusive, So-min insisted. Nuri's DNA contains markers that match Guardian archaeological samples. Thais clicked her mandibles dismissively. Even if your tests are accurate, it does not change anything. That creature is still malformed and unpleasant to look at. But do you not understand what this means? Han-woo said from the back of the room where he sat with Nuri in his lap. If Nuri really is a Guardian, then we are being tested right now. The Miwao, other aliens in the room, made sounds of disbelief and mockery. A Zephyrite chimed harshly. No advanced species would make their young look so disgusting. It makes no evolutionary sense. Maybe that is exactly the point, Han-woo replied. Maybe the test is to see if we can look past appearance and recognize intelligence and goodness. Kale stood up aggressively. I have heard enough of this nonsense. Ancient legends and fairy tales will not change my mind about that creature. It is still ugly and unwanted. You are making a terrible mistake, So-min warned. If Han-woo is right, then our treatment of Nuri will determine whether humanity and the other species on this station ever have contact with the Guardians. Good, Thais said coldly. If the Guardians judge species based on how we treat malformed animals, then they are not worth knowing anyway. The meeting ended with the alien crew members refusing to believe So-min's evidence. They continued to view Nuri as nothing more than an ugly pest that needed to be removed from the station. That evening, Han-woo sat in his quarters holding Nuri and thinking about everything So-min had discovered. The creature looked up at him with those big, intelligent eyes that now seemed even more mysterious. Are you really testing us, little one? Han-woo asked softly. Nuri made a gentle purring sound and nuzzled against Han-woo's hand. Whether the creature was a Guardian or just a lost animal, Han-woo knew his feelings would not change. He cared about Nuri not because of what species it might be, but because it was a living being that deserved kindness and protection. I will keep you safe, no matter what, Han-woo promised. Even if the others cannot see how special you are, unknown to Han-woo's strange energy readings had been detected at the edge of the star system. Something large was approaching the Harmony Bridge station, something that had been watching and waiting for a very long time. The next morning, strange things began happening around the Harmony Bridge station. Computer systems started malfunctioning in ways that seemed almost purposeful. The food dispensers in the alien quarters would randomly stop working while the ones in human areas functioned perfectly. Environmental controls would adjust temperatures to uncomfortable levels in some sections, but leave others unaffected. Han-woo noticed that wherever he took Nuri, the system seemed to work better than normal. Lights would brighten when they approached, and mechanical problems would mysteriously fix themselves. It was as if the station itself was responding to the small creature's presence. This is very strange, So-min said, as she examined a control panel that had been malfunctioning all week. According to the diagnostic readings, this system should be completely broken, but it is working perfectly now. Han-woo looked down at Nuri, who was sitting quietly beside his feet. The creature's large ears were twitched slightly, as if listening to sounds that Han-woo could not hear. I think Nuri is somehow connected to the station's systems, Han-woo said quietly. Every time we walk near broken equipment, it starts working again. So-min ran her scanner over Nuri and frowned at the readings. The creature's electromagnetic field is much stronger today than it was before, and look at these brainwave patterns. She showed Han-woo the display screen. Nuri's neural activity was creating complex patterns that looked almost like computer code. It is like Nuri is communicating with the station's network, So Min whispered in amazement. Their conversation was interrupted by alarm sirens throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red as the computer announced a critical malfunction in the main reactor core. All crew members were ordered to emergency stations immediately. In the reactor control room, chaos filled the air as alien technicians worked frantically to prevent a meltdown. Thais was shouting orders while Kyle coordinated evacuation procedures. The massive reactor that powered the entire station was overheating, and none of their attempts to cool it down were working. "We have less than 1 hour before complete system failure," announced the chief engineer. "If we cannot stabilize the reactor, we will have to abandon the station." Han Wu arrived with Nuri just as the situation was becoming desperate. The moment they entered the reactor room, several of the warning lights changed from red to yellow. The dangerous heat readings began to drop slowly. "What just happened?" This demanded as she stared at the improving readings on her control screens. Han Wu looked at Nuri, who was sitting calmly despite the noise and chaos around them. The creature's eyes were glowing with a soft blue light that Han Wu had never seen before. "I think Nuri is helping to stabilize the reactor," Han Wu said. Kale turned around with fury on his reptilian face. "That is impossible. A malformed animal cannot interface with our technology." But even as he spoke, the reactor temperatures continued to drop toward safe levels. The emergency sirens stopped, and the red warning lights changed to green. Within minutes, the crisis was completely resolved. "The reactor is now operating at optimal efficiency," reported the confused chief engineer. "Better than it has worked in months." All eyes turned toward Han Wu and Nuri. The small creature was no longer glowing but seemed tired from whatever it had done to help save the station. "This proves nothing," Kale snarled. "It was just a coincidence, but..." Over the following days, more incidents occurred that were impossible to ignore. Security systems would malfunction whenever Kyle tried to approach Nuri with hostile intentions. His weapons would lose power, and his communication devices would stop working. Other crew members who spoke rudely about Nuri would find their personal equipment failing at inconvenient times. Meanwhile, those who showed even small kindnesses toward the creature found their systems working better than ever before. It was becoming clear that something was testing and judging the behavior of everyone on the station. The situation reached a breaking point when Kale decided to take direct action. He gathered a team of security officers and went to Han Wu's quarters while Han Wu was working in another section of the station. They intended to capture Nuri and remove the creature from the station by force. But when Kyle tried to grab Nuri, something incredible happened. The creature's eyes blazed with bright blue light, and a powerful electromagnetic pulse filled the room. All of the security officers' weapons were instantly disabled. Their armor systems shut down, and their communication equipment went dead. Nuri stood protectively in the center of the room while energy crackled around its small body. The creature looked nothing like the helpless animal that Kale had expected to find. "What are you?" Kale whispered as he backed toward the door. Han Wu arrived just in time to see Kale and his team fleeing from his quarters. He found Nuri sitting on the bed looking exhausted but unharmed. The creature made soft sounds when it saw Han Wu as if trying to explain what had happened. "It is okay, little one," Han Wu said as he gently picked up Nuri. "I know you were just protecting yourself." Word of the incident spread quickly through the station. The alien crew members were now afraid of Nuri as well as disgusted by its appearance. They demanded that Han Wu keep the creature locked away from everyone else. "That thing is dangerous," Kyle announced at an emergency meeting. "It attacked my security team with some kind of energy weapon." Nuri was defending itself, Han Wu replied, angrily. "You had no right to try to capture the creature while I was away," So Min supported Han Wu's position. "The electromagnetic pulse only occurred when Nuri felt threatened. The creature has never shown aggression toward anyone who treats it kindly." But the alien crew members were too frightened and prejudiced to listen to reason. They voted to confine both Han Wu and Nuri to the human quarters until they could decide what to do with the creature permanently. This is exactly what the ancient texts warned about, Somin told Han Wu as they barricaded themselves in the research lab with Nuri. Species that fail the Guardian test face consequences for their choices. Han Wu looked at Nuri, who seemed to be growing more alert and intelligent each day. The creature's abilities were clearly developing as the test continued. Whatever happens next, Han Wu said firmly, I will not let them hurt you, Nuri. I promise to keep you safe, and I always keep my promises. Nuri made a grateful purring sound and moved closer to Han Wu. Outside the research lab, they could hear the alien crew members arguing about what to do with the creature they saw as a threat. None of them realized that their own actions were being watched and judged by forces far more powerful than anything on the station. Deep in space massive, shapes moved through the darkness toward the Harmony Bridge station. The real test was about to begin. The Harmony Bridge station shuddered as unknown forces took control of its systems. Every screen throughout the facility displayed the same message in multiple languages. Prepare for contact. Judgment has arrived. Han Wu held Nuri close as emergency lights flashed throughout the research lab where they had barricaded themselves. Somin was frantically trying to understand what was happening by monitoring the station's external sensors. Han Wu, you need to see this, Somin called, out with awe in her voice. She pointed to the main display screen which showed the view outside the station. Massive ships had appeared from nowhere surrounding the Harmony Bridge completely. The vessels were unlike anything in the known galactic fleets. They seemed to be made of pure energy that shifted and flowed like liquid starlight. Those are not ships from any civilization I recognize, Somin whispered. Nuri suddenly became very alert in Han Wu's arms. The creature's eyes began glowing with that familiar blue light, and it made soft sounds as if trying to communicate something important. The station's communication system crackled to life with a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. It spoke in perfect universal translation that every species could understand clearly. Greetings to the inhabitants of this research station. We are the Guardians, and we have been watching you carefully. Our child has been among you for many weeks, observing your behavior and testing your wisdom. Han Wu felt his heart pounding as he realized that Somin's research had been completely correct. Nuri really was a guardian, and this had all been an elaborate test of character. The voice continued with authority that made everyone on the station listen carefully. We have observed how each of you has treated our young one during this time of evaluation. Some have shown compassion and wisdom, while others have displayed cruelty and ignorance. Through the station's internal monitors, Han Wu could see alien crew members throughout the facility frozen with fear and shock. Kale was in the security center staring at his disabled weapons with growing terror. Theus was in her laboratory frantically trying to establish communication with the Guardian ships. The human-designated Han Wu has proven himself worthy through consistent acts of kindness toward our child despite mockery from others. He saw beauty where others saw only ugliness. He offered protection where others offered only harm. Han Wu looked down at Nuri, who was gazing up at him with what now seemed like ancient wisdom in those large eyes. The creature made a soft sound that Han Wu somehow understood as gratitude and affection. The human-designated Somin has also shown wisdom by seeking truth through investigation rather than accepting prejudice. She recognized intelligence and value where others saw only flaws. Somin looked amazed that beings of such power had been observing and judging her actions. She reached out to gently touch Nuri's fur with new respect and understanding. The Guardian voice became stern as it addressed the rest of the crew. However many others on this station have failed our test completely. They judged our child based only on appearance and showed cruelty toward an innocent being. Throughout the station, alien crew members began to experience strange phenomena. Kyle found himself suddenly seeing his own reflection as others saw him. His reptilian features that He had always considered strong and intimidating now appeared ugly and frightening. He felt for the first time what it was like to be judged harshly based on appearance alone. This discovered that her research equipment would no longer respond to her commands. Every time she tried to conduct an experiment, her instruments would malfunction. She was experiencing what it felt like to be considered incompetent and worthless. Other crew members found themselves facing similar consequences that forced them to understand how their prejudice and cruelty had affected others. These experiences will continue until you learn compassion and wisdom, the Guardian voice explained. Those who cannot change their hearts will find that advanced civilizations want nothing to do with them. A new presence entered the research lab as energy coalesced into the form of an adult Guardian. The being was magnificent beyond description, with flowing features that seemed to be made of pure starlight. It was clearly the same species as Nuri, but transformed into something godlike and beautiful. "Young Han Wu," the Guardian said in a voice, like singing crystals. "You have cared for our child with genuine love despite the mockery of others. This is the greatest test of wisdom that any being can face." Han Wu felt overwhelmed by the presence of such a powerful being, but Nuri's warm weight in his arms helped him stay calm. "I just did what felt right. Nuri needed help and I could provide it." This simple statement shows more wisdom than all the scientific knowledge of your station combined, the Guardian replied. True advancement comes not from technology, but from the ability to show kindness to those who appear different or vulnerable. The Guardian turned toward So Min. "You have also proven worthy by seeking truth and supporting your friend's compassion. Both humans will be offered gifts that your species has not yet imagined." So Min bowed respectfully. "We are honored by your presence and grateful for this lesson about judging others." "The lesson is not finished," the Guardian said as it gestured toward the station around them. "Watch now as those who failed our test face the consequences of their choices." On the monitors, they could see Kale struggling with weapons that would no longer function and armor that had become too heavy to wear. His security team was experiencing similar problems, as all their technology refused to work properly. This was frantically trying to contact other research stations, but found that her communications were being blocked. No advanced civilization would answer her calls or accept her research proposals. "This is what awaits any species that shows cruelty toward the vulnerable," the Guardian explained. "They will find themselves isolated from all enlightened civilizations in the galaxy." Han Wu felt sad for his former colleagues, even though they had treated Nuri badly. "Is there no way for them to redeem themselves?" The Guardian smiled with infinite patience. "There is always hope for those who truly change their hearts, but first they must learn what it means to be judged unfairly and treated with cruelty." Nuri climbed up to Han Wu's shoulder and nuzzled his cheek affectionately. The small creature was clearly happy to be reunited with its own kind, but still showed love for the human who had protected it. "Our child has grown fond of you," the Guardian observed. "If you are willing, Han Wu, you could become a permanent bridge between our species and yours. Your compassion has opened doorways to possibilities that your people never dreamed existed." Han Wu looked at Nuri and then at the magnificent Guardian before them. The choice would change his life forever, but he had already made his decision weeks ago when he first chose to protect a small, frightened creature that others called ugly. "I would be honored," Han Wu said simply. "Nuri is my friend and always will be." 3 months after the Guardian contact, the Harmony Bridge station had become a very different place. Han Wu walked through the corridors with Nuri trotting beside him as always. The small creature had grown slightly, and its abilities had developed remarkably, but it still preferred to stay close to its human friend. The station now served as humanity's first embassy to the Guardian Alliance. This was a secret organization of species that had passed the compassion test over millions of years. They shared technology and knowledge far beyond what the regular galactic community had access to. Han Wu wore new insignia, marking him as an official Guardian ambassador. His quarters had been expanded into a diplomatic suite where he met with representatives from advanced civilizations. But his favorite part of each day was still the quiet time he spent with Nuri, learning about Guardian culture and abilities. "The Council of Elders wants to meet with you next week," So-Min told Han Wu as she entered his office. She now held the position of chief xenobiologist for Guardian relations, and her research had advanced human understanding of alien life by centuries. "What do they want to discuss?" Han Wu asked, while scratching behind Nuri's oversized ears. The creature purred contentedly, and its eyes glowed softly with happiness. "They are impressed with humanity's rapid progress," So-Min replied. "Apparently, most species take decades to adapt to Guardian technology, but humans have mastered the basics in just 3 months." Han Wu smiled as he remembered those first difficult weeks. The Guardians had provided humanity with incredible advances in energy production, medical technology, and space travel. But they had also required that humans prove their wisdom by sharing these gifts responsibly with other species. The test had been challenging, but humanity had succeeded. They established medical aid programs for less advanced civilizations and shared clean energy technology freely. The Guardian Alliance had been impressed by human generosity and officially welcomed Earth as a member species. "How are our former colleagues adapting to the changes?" Han Wu asked. So-Min's expression became more serious. "It depends on the individual. Some have learned from their experiences and are trying to change their attitudes. Others remain bitter and refuse to accept what happened." She brought up a report on her tablet showing the status of each alien crew member. Some had requested transfers to other stations where they could avoid dealing with Guardian technology. Others had applied for counseling to help them overcome their prejudices. Kale had been the most resistant to change. The former security chief had lost his position and most of his authority when all Guardian technology refused to work for him. His weapons systems, security equipment, and even basic tools would malfunction whenever he tried to use them. "Kyle filed another complaint with the Galactic Council yesterday," So-Min reported. "He claims the Guardians are violating his rights by preventing him from doing his job." Han Wu sighed. "The Guardians are not preventing him from anything. His own prejudice and cruelty are the barriers. If he showed genuine remorse and changed his behavior, the technology would work for him again." Nuri made a soft sound that Han Wu had learned meant disagreement. The creature's intelligence had grown tremendously, and it could now communicate complex ideas through sounds, gestures, and telepathic impressions. "You think Kale is not ready to change yet?" Han Wu asked. Nuri nodded and projected images into Han Wu's mind, showing Kale's current emotional state. The alien was still filled with anger and resentment rather than understanding or regret. "Then we wait and hope he eventually learns," Han Wu said gently. "Everyone deserves a chance to grow and improve." This patience and optimism was one of the qualities that had most impressed the Guardian Alliance about humanity. While other species often wrote off individuals who failed their tests, humans continued to believe in the possibility of redemption. That afternoon, Han Wu attended a ceremony welcoming new human diplomats to the station. Earth had selected its best and most compassionate individuals to serve as liaisons with the Guardian Alliance. The selection process focused on emotional intelligence and empathy rather than just technical knowledge. During the ceremony, Nuri sat quietly beside Han Wu's chair, observing the new arrivals. The creature had become an excellent judge of character and would often give Han Wu subtle signals about which humans were truly ready for Guardian contact. After the ceremony, Han Wu walked to the observation deck to watch the Guardian ships that now permanently surrounded the station. The magnificent vessels continued to amaze him with their beauty and the peaceful energy they radiated. "Do you miss your home world?" Han Wu asked Nuri as they watched the ships. Nuri projected feelings of contentment and belonging. The creature communicated that Hanwu and the humans had become its family. It was happy to serve as a bridge between species and had no desire to leave its chosen companions. "I am honored to be your family," Hanwu said warmly. "You taught me so much about looking past appearances to find true beauty." Their peaceful moment was interrupted by an urgent message from the communications center. A new situation had developed that required Han Wu's attention as Guardian Ambassador. "Ambassador Han Wu, please report to Diplomatic Bay 7 immediately," the message announced. "We have first contact with a previously unknown species." Han Wu and Nuri hurried to the Diplomatic Bay where they found So Min and several other human officials waiting. Through the viewing window, they could see a small, damaged ship that had apparently just arrived at the station. "The ship sent a distress signal and requested sanctuary," So Min explained. "The occupants appear to be refugees fleeing from some kind of persecution." Han Wu studied the alien vessel, which looked ancient and barely functional. Whatever species had built it clearly lacked advanced technology, but had still managed to reach the station. "What do we know about them?" Han Wu asked. "Very little," So Min replied. "Their language is completely unknown, and their ship's design does not match any civilization in our databases." A Guardian representative materialized beside them in the A form of flowing energy. "This is an opportunity for humanity to demonstrate the wisdom you have learned. How will you respond to beings who appear strange and different?" Han Wu smiled as he understood. This was another test, but this time, humanity would be the ones doing the judging. The Guardians wanted to see if humans would show the same compassion to others that Han Wu had shown to Nuri. "We will welcome them with kindness and offer whatever help they need," Han Wu said confidently. "Their appearance or technology level does not matter. They are beings in distress who came to us for help." Nuri made happy purring sounds and projected feelings of pride and approval. The creature had helped teach humanity an invaluable lesson about the true meaning of civilization. As Han Wu prepared to make first contact with the unknown aliens, he reflected on how much his life had changed since that day he found a small, frightened creature in the station's ventilation system. A simple act of kindness had opened doorways to wonders beyond imagination. The aliens emerging from the damaged ship would indeed look strange and unsettling to human eyes. But Han Wu knew that appearance meant nothing compared to the character within. He had learned that true beauty came from compassion, wisdom, and the willingness to protect those who needed help. With Nuri beside him as always, Han Wu stepped forward to greet the newcomers with the same gentle kindness he had once shown to a lost wolf pup that others called ugly. The lesson would continue as humanity helped teach other species the most important truth in the universe. Love and compassion were the greatest technologies of all.